Welcome to this video supplement involving graphing logarithms, which remember, a log is simply the inverse of an exponential. We are going to look at four graphs here together and hopefully see how we graph a log. First, we're going to identify the center point, which we should be pretty good at, -1, 1. This log is opening in the usual direction, but we're going to have to multiply by 3 for its y-coordinate. First item we will do then is draw in the axes, and that's going to be somewhat near centered from a vertical standpoint. From a horizontal standpoint, it's going to be a little bit further to the left. Then we're going to draw in the center point, which is at -1, 1, and draw in those centered axes accordingly. Now make sure you have the original axes labeled so I know what the axes are. Then, for a log, usually the first point is just right 1. In fact, it's always just right 1. Then, we're going to go to the right 2 from the center point. And we're going to then go up 3 in this problem because we're multiplying vertically by 3. Then, we take the reciprocal of 2, which is a half. We go to the right 1/2 from the center point, and usually we would be down 1, but in this problem we'll be down 3. And then we connect those dots to the best of our ability. Do not touch or cross that vertical new centered axis, and that's how the graph would look. Second example, the center point would be at 2, 1. Notice that this is a log base 10 because the log was not specified. That means it's base 10. And vertically we're multiplying by 4. So first we're going to plot the original axes. Oh, let's see. We're plotting the original axes. That's going to be somewhere like this, and we need to be right 2, so we'll go somewhere like, actually on this one, we need to go far to the right, so I'm going to put this all the way over to the left. Hopefully that gives us enough room. X-axis, y-axis, put the center point on the graph. It's at 2, 1. Then we're going to draw in the centered new kind of sort of axes. So there they are. First point for a log is just always to the right 1. You don't even have to think about it. Then we're going to go to the right 10 from the center point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look at that, it just fits. Usually it'd be up 1, but we're going to go up 4 because we're multiplying by 4. Then, with 10, the reciprocal is a tenth. So we would go 1/10 of the way from the original center point. Now, that's going to be really close to that vertical line. That's fine. Usually it would be down 1, but in this case we have to go down 4 because we're multiplying by 4. And then we draw this in. Draw it carefully. Draw it as best as you can. It does get steep, but do not cross that vertical centered axis. And that would be the graph we want. Two more with logs. Again, identify the center point. Here it's -3, -1. Again, the log doesn't have a base. That means it's base 10. We will draw on the original axis. And when we do that, we have to go to the left 3. So we need plenty of room. I'm going to do this for the original axis, and then we'll do something like this. Typically, the horizontal axis is pretty well centered, but that will depend on the y-coordinate of your new center point. So -3, -1 is the new center point. We will draw in our centered axes right here. Let's try to get it drawn in well. And right here, perfecto. Now usually we start at the center point and just go right 1 with a log, so that's what we'll do. It's base 10, so we go to the right 10 from the new center point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But the negative now. The negative out front means we're going in the other direction for the log. So it's going to be down 2 that we put the point. And then when we go 1/10 of the way from the new vertical axis, which basically means really close to that new vertical axis, we're going to be up 2 instead of down 2. We will draw this in and draw it to the best of your ability. It might not be perfectly drawn, but we're just getting the sense of where the graph should be. That would be our graph. And now for our last example, the center point would be at 1, comma 4. Notice that our base is 2 and there is a negative out front, so this log again will be flipped from its normal positioning. We'll draw on the irregular axis. We're going to put it way over here, and then notice it's up 4, so I'm going to leave a little bit more room vertically than I would leave below from a vertical standpoint. So that's going to be an x and a y axis. Please make sure those are always labeled. The center point's at 1 comma 4. There it is. We're going to draw in those centered axes. So here's the one centered axis, here's the other centered axis. Now for a log, we always just go right 1 from that center point. Base 2 means we go 2 from the center point. Now we're going down and we're multiplying by 4. So since we're multiplying by 4, that means we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to go right a half because the reciprocal of 2 is a half. And we're going to go up 4. And then we're going to connect those dots. And this one is kind of steep. It will start to bend, give it something of that sort of a shape. And that's our graph. That's how we graph logarithms, which really are just the inverses of the exponentials.